Is Trump really connected to Russia? In the US, the FBI found bags of classified materials, among which were documents indicating that the investigation into Trump's collusion with Russia in 2016 may have been launched even before there was substantial evidence. In other words, deliberately.
This could be used against Trump, claiming a certain level of dependency, perhaps related to some past contracts, maybe from his business dealings or possibly from his first term. No one knows. No one really knows because there is no information yet. There's nothing to analyze at this point.
For Russia, getting involved in other countries' elections is nothing new. The president of Moldova stated that Russia is preparing an unprecedented interference in the parliamentary elections scheduled for September. Meanwhile, Peskov, as expected, denied these accusations.
Of course, Russia will interfere in the parliamentary elections in Moldova. And as far as I understand, preparations for this interference are already underway very actively even now. Why? Because again, many people forget that Moldova, after all, the Republic of Moldova is not a presidential republic, not a presidential parliamentary republic, but specifically a parliamentary presidential one. Plus, once again, there has been information that rallies will be funded and the necessary narratives will be spread through social networks and mass media.
Peskov also responded to Trump's ultimatum to resolve the war within 10 days, stating that the Russian economy is not afraid of new sanctions.
Therefore, of course, we have already developed a certain immunity in this regard and continue to monitor all statements made by President Trump and other international representatives on this issue.
Nevertheless, after Trump's ultimatum, Moscow launched a massive strike on Kyiv. That's right. Even Keith Kellogg's daughter sees all of this as a direct response from Putin to the US conditions.
Kyiv is under a massive drone attack. You are not mistaken, this is Putin's response to President Trump's deadline. He is testing America's resolve and strength. We cannot afford to show weakness.
First, Trump's ultimatum, then the Kremlin's response saying that sanctions don't scare us. And a few hours later, a massive shelling of Kyiv. All of this looks like a demonstrative gesture, both in words and in actions.
And absolutely everything that is currently happening now, with an increasingly unstable Europe, a significantly distracted America, and certain critical domestic events unfolding within Ukraine itself, all of this unfortunately plays directly into Vladimir Putin's hands. Yes. And now Russia is clearly showing the United States that they do not possess a complete monopoly, so to speak, on telling Russia precisely what, when, and how to conduct its affairs.
Meanwhile, Kazakhstan is distancing itself from Russia. The president of Kazakhstan himself held talks at the leadership level with the president of Turkey, where they discussed increasing the export of Kazakh oil through the Baku-Tbilisi-Ceyhan pipeline, which bypasses Russia.
I don't think Kazakhstan is actually ready right now to give up cooperation with the Russian Federation on oil transit because, well, Kazakhstan simply doesn't have any other options for such volumes at the moment. But is Kazakhstan ready to work on diversifying such new corridors, right? On creating them, on, so to speak, modernizing those that exist without the Russian Federation? Of course, yes.
The Kremlin demonstratively ignores ultimatums, continues to strike Ukraine, and at the same time is losing influence where it recently thought everything was under control. Even longtime partners like Kazakhstan are looking for workarounds and moving out of Moscow's orbit. Slowly but surely.
A hellish night. Russian occupiers have attacked the capital of Ukraine once again. Once again, residential buildings of ordinary Ukrainian citizens have come under attack by Kremlin terrorists. As a result of the combined night strike on Kyiv, 8 people were killed, including a child. There are people trapped under the rubble. There are also reports of missing persons. Russian forces launched nearly 300 drones and 8 missiles at Ukraine and also used rocket-propelled Shaheds.
This is a new development by the Russian military-industrial complex, which allows for improved tactical and technical characteristics and accordingly reduces the impact of air and missile defense systems at the moment of their neutralization. At the moment, there is no publicly available information on the exact number of Geran 3 units produced. But this clearly indicates that the Russian Federation is significantly scaling up the production, specifically of unmanned aerial vehicles or drones, equipped with small jet engines to substantially increase their destructive firepower against Ukraine's critical infrastructure targets.
And here's another alarming trend. The effectiveness of the occupiers' drone attacks has tripled. On average, about 15% of UAVs managed to penetrate Ukrainian air defenses between April and June, whereas in the first quarter of the year, this figure was only around 5%.
They have taken into account the experience of countering mobile fire teams, and as a result, attacks on Ukraine's infrastructure are now being carried out from altitudes of 2,000 to 3,000 meters. The second point is the use and improvement of strike tactics, that is, the so-called caravan-style approach.
Meanwhile, the Kremlin continues to strengthen its ties with China. A Chinese vessel was sent to Russia's far eastern coast during Russian Navy exercises, which included participation from the Pacific Fleet. There are only 3 such ships in the Chinese fleet.
This primarily indicates that China is making it clear to the Russian Federation about the real state of its navy. That is, it is technically worn out and not ready to carry out combat missions.
And while the two dictators prepare to wage war against the West, the US has developed a mechanism to arm Ukraine with American weapons using European funds. Republican senators have prepared a bill that provides for the creation of a special fund. They are counting on establishing a funding source of between $5 and $8 billion per year. The likely donors are Germany and the United Kingdom.
This is a quite manageable amount of money, considering that for 2025, Germany has announced military technical assistance to Ukraine totaling $9 billion. At the moment, the United Kingdom is actively using frozen Russian assets, specifically the interest from them, to provide immediate financial and technical support to the Ukrainian side.
But Ukraine is not standing still either. Kyiv is working on developing its own ballistic missiles to strike deep into Russia, according to Defense Minister Schmeihal.
At present, Germany has announced that it will invest around 1.9 billion euros in the Ukrainian defense industry, specifically for the production of Ukrainian ballistic missiles and strike weapons. We are talking about Ukrainian drones with a strike range of up to 1,500 kilometers. Apparently, it is with this money from German taxpayers that Ukraine will receive Ukrainian developments of the operational tactical complex Prom-2 Savsav.
Meanwhile, fierce fighting continues on the front lines. Russian occupiers are actively assaulting in the Pokrovsk and Novopavlivka directions.
The main theater of operations is the Pokrovsk direction, where the occupiers are attempting to create an operational encirclement towards Mirnorad. In the Novopavlivka direction, the main objective of the occupiers is to try to reach the administrative borders of Dnipro in the Petrovsk region.
Meanwhile, drones paid a visit to Russia and temporarily occupied Crimea. The Ministry of Murderers claimed that 32 drones were destroyed overnight.
The plant is being bombed.
There, yes, there it is, right there.
There it is. It's flying right above us. Yeah, a drone.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine Today. Join us now.